Welcome. Sunday, October 19th. Amy Seukeran, Narcissistic Abuse Recovery Life Coach, Canada. Today is the start of a new week. Did you see the post? We're just going to go over. I'm going to write it out. Okay, so trauma and re-traumatization. Many sources can cause you to fall back into old habits. Well, we're going to have to go over everything again. Trauma. What do you think trauma is? What kinds of things cause trauma? Accidents? Do accidents cause trauma? What about violence? Does violence cause trauma? Assault? Theft, robbery? Is that trauma if it happens to you? Okay, what's verbal trauma? If somebody says bad words to you, insulting words, put downs, or if they scream at you, what's verbal abuse? Okay, what's fear? When do you have fear? When what happens to you? What is anxiety? When you don't deal with fear, that's anxiety. It turns into anxiety. When you're afraid and you can't get out of the situation, that turns into anxiety. You get anxious. So what is your anxiety from? Okay, so trauma is something that happens to you, right? That's how you get trauma. So re-traumatization, is that the same thing happening again? Something different happening to you? If you can't escape an abuser, you have to live with them. Are you getting re-traumatized every day that you have to live with them? Well, fear, what causes fear? Intimidation, threats? When you can't control something, what causes fear? So how long do you think before that turns into anxiety? So if you got away from the situation, do you think you would still have anxiety? The situation you were afraid of. It would be less, it would get better. Okay, if you're afraid of the dark, why are you afraid of the dark? If you're afraid of spiders, why are you afraid of spiders? Because of what you believe, what you think? Because of what you know? Fear is what you don't know? Who is that going to help? I have a fear of heights. I'm afraid I'm going to fall down. Is that clear and simple enough? Okay, what other kinds of fears do you have? You're afraid of cooking? Nobody's afraid of anything? Okay, how many kids? Are you afraid of your parents? Same question for the adults. Are you afraid of your parents? Are you afraid of your boss? Because there are real results, right? There's a real threat. They could actually do something to harm you and hurt you. That's why. If you leave comments, I can read them. If they can't see the comments, I can always read them out loud. When you share your story, when you share comments, I can see all of them. I choose not to read some because they're offensive and rude, right? But if you're sharing something helpful and useful, I read it out loud. Usually how it works. You type the questions in. Type it in the chat. Have you ever gone through the options for the chat? The message, can you send it to everyone or just to me? Okay, let me try. Hold on. Okay. Question and answer. Have you been around a narcissist today? So maybe you left them for the weekend and you ran away to Malton. So you haven't been around a narcissist today. But tomorrow's Monday. You might have to go back. So depends who you are. How many times have I posted it? If you want to get in contact, if you have questions, if you have how many different ways? And what did it say about sharing your story? Now, which one? Hundreds of times. Why you find this funny? I cannot work from inside this unit. If I charge for a session, then I have to be out of, yeah, if I charge for a session. You keep confusing what? I want the management to contact me back. Yeah. When I contacted them to find out about working from the unit and the lease, that's what I want. What are you doing? Someone just texted me before this live stream telling me not to call their phone. Do you understand who you're talking to? Narcissistic abuse recovery life coach. Victims of narcissistic abuse, victims of a narcissist. I was considering today if I should move to a different apartment somewhere. I don't know about Malton. I'd probably have to move somewhere else, but I was considering because we're at the end of October, right? You have to give what, 2 months notice unless you have reasons. Well, New Year's coming up, right? That's my life anyway. What about you guys? What did you do for the weekend? Well, like you keep saying, right? Actual money, right? You guys are doing what and making money? I have no idea. So it's only a joke if you make it a joke. Remember that one? Like this. Do you do house calls? I'm in Cawthra shelter and pregnant. Isn't that the biggest joke you ever heard? If you're in Cawthra shelter and pregnant, how many workers should you have looking after you if you're in Cawthra shelter, a homeless shelter, and you're pregnant? How'd you get into the shelter? How old are you? Well, Cawthra shelter, you have a housing worker there, right? A worker that you have to see, right? You all have to see your worker. So how come they don't know that? That's a risk, right? If you're in Cawthra shelter pregnant, you don't want to get sued and blamed, right? As Cawthra shelter, if something happens to you, since you're pregnant. I'm assuming female in the Cawthra shelter is female and male, right? So just from my experience staying there. Do I do house calls for what? If you're in Cawthra shelter, do you understand how easy it would be to do a Zoom there? They have TVs. Where? Show me. Tell me where Cawthra shelter has TVs right now. If you're in there right now, where are the TVs that are on? We went over, right? How many shelters are there in Peel? Homeless shelters. There's Cawthra shelter in Mississauga. We know, right? Cawthra Road. That's the one she's in, right? Pregnant in Cawthra shelter. So that's the one. The Salvation Army Cawthra shelter, right? We all understand where that is. The only female shelter. Then there's a family shelter. Where is that? And then there's a men's shelter in Brampton. Oh, the Overflow, the medical shelter. That's up the street on Dundas. You gonna take a walk? Okay, you might as well turn around, go the other way, and go to the shipbuilding now. Where is that? Okay, so we understand, right? Yeah, we know where the employment center, all of that is Dundas. Both ways. Do you understand that now? When you come up the stairs from Cawthra shelter, you're on Dundas. Everybody now, right? Mississauga, Brampton, everybody in Peel region now. We understand this. You wanted it to be my job. Ta-da! It's 7 a.m. You have to go to class. Good luck. From here to class. Bye. Have fun. If it's 7 a.m. there, they just got up. It's 7 p.m. here. 7:16. A time difference. If it's the whole world. That's why, when you see EST, Eastern, sometimes it's Pacific. That's where how you know where you are. Mine always says Eastern. That's where we are in Canada. The time. When it says EST, that's for here, where we are. In case you ever wondered and need to look it up, where you live. The Eastern Standard Time, like that. When you see it like that, that's for here, where we are. in case you need to find it, right? Is there a path forward for me after being homeless and pregnant? Well, okay, let's go over this in reality. Are you ready? How many months pregnant are you? You're in the homeless shelter, right? So I'm assuming they'll help you out there. Are you on Ontario Works? Are you working? How long until the baby's due? Are you keeping the baby? 7 months. You're doing in 7 months? You're 7 months pregnant or you're due in 7 months? Yes, there is. There's 12 in a year. I asked what you think I should do with it, but you didn't answer. Do you? You were adult enough to have intercourse, get pregnant. You want to come here 7 months, it says, and ask me what you should do with a baby, in actual life, a baby. And you're in a homeless shelter where they're supposed to have workers and helpers and people. How old are you, if you don't mind me asking? We focus on you're doing a couple of months there if you're in Cawthra shelter. That's what we focus on. Don't ever come here and tell me to have respect ever in your life. Do you understand that? Ever. Okay, back to reality. You're in Cawthra shelter, you're a female, and you're pregnant. How hard is it to find you? Yeah, all the workers and the management now. Yeah, it is. Now go ahead. All the police, all of Children's Services, Peel Children's Aid. You're going to have the baby in a hospital. You made this serious. Go for it. You want to call names? It's real now. Let me hear how many people are in Cawthra. So how many are pregnant right now? It takes 9 months to have a baby. It says 7 months. I'm doing a couple months here. So are you doing 7 months or 2 months? It says 7 months. Well, what happens when you have the baby? You can get into the family shelter and you can live there for another 6 months? No, I'm not joking with any of you. You are this low. I am making sure. You keep calling my name and I told you. You want to confuse me with Cawthra shelter? You did enough. You just said you're staying there now, right? You're pregnant. Call again, you. How do you think the cycle works when the police go there and then you find a house and the police have to come and get you? You think they don't know your name? You think they don't know you're in Cawthra shelter? They don't know the whole homeless. When they see you on the road, you think none of them remember you? When you go into the shelter, do you go on the list? The by name list? Have you ever heard of that? The by name list? Have you ever signed up for housing? Peel housing? Well, why are you in the homeless shelter to do what? You said you're homeless and pregnant. So isn't the point of staying in a homeless shelter to get a home? So, okay, let's hear. Will the family shelter admit you if you're pregnant? Then why are you in Cawthra shelter? Yeah, somebody is going to find out. Like I said, all these people are getting paid, right? With these services. They won't shut down. And these people are sitting here, what? They want to live with me? With their children, right? A brand new baby in how long? We're still going. You feel free to keep typing questions. I'll answer them. They keep coming and commenting, right? But they don't realize when I open the curtain, that's where I am. This is my window. How many months? You see me opening my window, my curtain. I have lived here. I can't open my windows and curtains? January 31st, 2024. Amy Seukeran, apartment 47, right? Over and over again. Read them again, the text messages you sent me. Let me hear this again. Why? You keep coming on and telling me about, right, where's the lease now? Smoking in my unit. Show me, read it out loud. Type it out. Every one of them. We're going to go through every rule. Alcohol, smoking in the entrance, smoking reefer, every single tenant now. Every single one. Yep. Anything they're doing in their unit. Anyone who's babysitting, right? That's working, making money from your unit. Any one of them. I told you to make copies and give it out. Who are you telling? Read it and let me hear who you are telling me I can't. Yes, they are. Any one of you working from your unit, right? That's in the lease there. You can do that. Yeah, show us. Show us again. Read it again, and show me the name now. What unit it says, since you have the lease. What name does it say? Like that? What unit does it say? Like that? That's what you see all over Facebook? On the lease? Oh, make sure it matches. Like that? The lease says Amy Seukeran, apartment 47, unit 47, 7555 Gorway Drive. Does it? Can we all make sure now? This is on YouTube worldwide. So can you go on Facebook and make sure that it matches? These are the tenants, right? 4 buildings arguing with me. Still to this day, they can't read it. How's the situation with the glue and the rock? Well, I'm trying to get all the tenants evicted for doing that. That's how the situation is. So what do you guys do all weekend? Have friends over to your apartments? Yeah, you let strangers in? You still do that? You let groups of people in? They don't rob you and take things? Do you have dinner parties? Do you have friends over for dinner? Yeah, the same building, building 1. Did you have visitors over? Did they park in the visitor parking of building 1 or building 2? Well, visitors are strangers, right? So I'm just trying to keep safe since that's the same rock I sit on to smoke, right? Medical, actual nausea. And you guys just want to, take it so lightly, all the money I paid for rent, right? Don't complain. So, we're here now. Well, that kind of leads on to, right? Why I wanted to move. All that money paid in rent, and you guys have what coming here, running around parking lots, and you own what? Something different. So, for the health and safety and well being of everybody, it might be a good idea for me to leave. I'm sure there are apartments cheap, right? Prices dropped everywhere for housing apartments, right? Well, there was a rent increase recently, right? My rent. So that's why I'm just reconsidering everything. If I could save 100 or two, right? Wouldn't you save 100 or two on rent if you could? If you could move somewhere else and save 200 a month on rent? That doesn't make sense to you? Makes sense to me, right? Money, I'm poor. Makes sense to me. You want to visit? Let's visit them. They have visitors coming here whenever they want. All kinds of visitors, strangers coming in here where I live. But I shouldn't say nothing. Just let them keep coming under my window and smoking and doing whatever they want. But they see in my lease that I can't smoke cigarettes. It's a nice building. So anybody have kids in this building? Remember, I'm the one you call the police on. I'm recording your children. So anybody else have kids in this building? Building 1? Have you ever noticed Malton is getting smaller and smaller? There's nothing to do. People just hang out all day. Have you ever noticed that? Do you guys work? What do you do for jobs? Do you have businesses? What kind of business do you have in Malton? I heard your fan account will be officially shutting down due to lack of interest in your life. Thank you. I would appreciate that very much if you shut down my fan account. What are some of your interests and hobbies? Well, photography, we went over that, right? Used to be. I used to do baking and cake making, cake decorating. Long time ago, cooking. Hobbies and interests. Arts and crafts. What kind of things? I made the teddy bear out of yarn. I did bead bracelets, all kinds of jewelry with beads. Interests and hobbies. Well, I can't use tools here, so interests and hobbies. What else is left? I walk with my phone. I take pictures. I walk around Malton. How many times can you walk around Malton? What do you do here? Why are you so obsessed with photographing and videoing children? Do you understand that? I have no respect for anybody here. You what? No, I want to hear you. You're actually sitting here in Malton after the Jonathan Davis shooting. After what you know you did to my phone. After what you had here. Running around. You have privilege. You're homeless and you own somebody's house building. You're actually sitting here grinning at what somebody should do to you. You have the nerve to actually, after calling the police on me, saying I recorded your children after Jonathan Davis is dead. Do you understand? What kind of video were they shooting in the back of the park when they killed him? You have the nerve to come here telling me about why am I so obsessed with photographing and videoing children? How many times? You want to call the police on people, then when they off your children, you're going to watch this back again. You're going to laugh the same way you're laughing right now. Do you understand, Malton? That includes every single one of the Malton moms. Everyone on the Peel School Board. Right? Every single year. Go ahead. Until what? I opened the business in 2019 in Malton. Nobody has anything to do with me and my business. I am sitting right here now. You are hearing me right now. Let's go over the paint class he was in. That was Malton Neighborhood Services, right? Who held paint class? That Jonathan Davis was in? That's the same community center, Malton Community Center. Those buildings on Darcel are right beside it. You want to call my name again, Malton? What did I tell you I was going to do if you call my name? You're going to show me what? Why? Okay, let me hear then now. Show me why you're calling my name. You understand, I was in Cawthra Shelter July 15th to September 1st, 2019. When did that happen at the building? The Jonathan Davis shooting. September what? And nothing. You can't change what happened. How many times did I tell you that? So if all of that is true and happened, why are you sitting here talking like it didn't? Well, who was responsible for the hub? Whose idea was that? The Malton Youth Hub. They who? You have to explain to me. Malton Moms is a group. They're not a nonprofit organization. They're not a charity. So which one is the nonprofit organization or the charity? Which one makes the money? How many different organizations are opened? Which one of them are legal and legitimate? 6 years in Malton. Explain this to me. All using Malton Neighborhood Services. The Malton Women's Council. Let me hear. Where are they associated with? You're all what? Councils of what? You're all what? If you rent a community center, you rent the schools the same way I can if I'm a nonprofit organization. How come I can't do that? Where do all of them rent? Where do they hold events? What is their nonprofit for? What do they have a council for? What do they do in Malton? The Malton Community Center is supposed to be a public community center, right? For everybody to go to. The Malton Library is supposed to be a public library, right? For everybody to go to. The mall is supposed to be a public mall for everybody to go to. I went over this. We went over this in Cawthra Shelter. What a public place is. So why are we in Malton going over the same thing? What a public place is. Why don't we understand what a public place is? Public means for everybody. When did that change? You want to talk about businesses and money, right? How you make money, how you have a house. You want to come on and insult me, right? Well, I have a business I've had for 6 years. You guys are training your kids empathy in the school, life skills. You don't see the joke in that? Where did you learn to cook for COVID when you were locked in your house? You just bought fast food? How did you eat? You had endless money to buy fast food every single day of COVID? Why did the food banks run out of food? When did it become normal for everybody to use the food bank? After COVID? Well, what time is the hub open? What is the age? Age 12 to 25? What does it say the ages of people that can go there to the Malton Youth Hub? So you have 12 and 25-year-old men going there, women going there every morning to what? Eat breakfast? And then what? Are they students? Are they homeless? Are they just hanging out? Are they what? Looking for dates? We're talking about the adults, right? What they do all day. If you need somewhere to go sit down and have a cup of coffee, where do you go as an adult? Well, we all know there's a time limit in the Tim Hortons, right? There's a sign that says 20 minutes, so we can't do it there. Where do we go as adults? Well, let's hear. If you go into the mall, where you go to the food court and sit down? Where else? Why are you always obsessed with meeting with friends? I have a business I'm running. You are actually sitting here in groups. 6 years of this is what you did. You're telling me about what? We want to go hang out again? No, it's not making sense. Why do you think people leave their narcissist? Because they don't want to be with what anymore? Somebody who what? I told you how many times. I am not a couples therapist. I don't do couples therapy. You don't come here and bring your boyfriend and girlfriend with you. You don't sit in my live stream as a couple. Do you understand that? This is not for couples. This is for victims who are ready to leave, to get away, to have their own life as an individual, a single person, just like me. You see me sitting here? Not dependent on anybody else. I can do everything myself. An independent female who takes care of themselves. Do you understand that one? We're getting on the same page, are we? Why are you sitting here telling me about codependency? Because what is codependency? That's when you're dependent on somebody else? So if you know that, what are you doing here? If you have dependency, you depend on somebody. What do you depend on them for? Money or food? Your house? Which one? What are you dependent on them for? There's a food bank, so you can get food yourself. There's a homeless shelter, so you can get a house yourself. There's Ontario Works, you can get money yourself. So what are you dependent on them for? Oh, companionship. That's real good. There's a whole internet companionship. Do you understand why you shouldn't be here? This is not a dating website. Companionship. Dogs and cats are for companionship. On every post, it says, all you need is you. If you're ready for a change, all you need is you on every one of my posts, right? If you're ready for a change, all you need is you. I want you to think about that right now. You want to go into what? Children now? How old do you have to be to do what? Be a victim? Well, let's go over if you're a parent right now. If somebody called the police on you, what would you do? Well, let's pretend what you're videoing your own children or abusing them. So when is the point when children's aid gets involved? What if it's a school? Yeah, they're asking, right? What is the appropriate response? So go ahead, you're the real parents. What is the appropriate response? If somebody you didn't know called the police on you? Either one, right? Had narcotics in your unit. Yeah, go for it. You can watch it all day long. Either one, right? You're the ones with the real children. They're going to be going to school for a while, right? They walk to school. They're going to be living their lives. You're two separate people. So when you call the police and cause problems for who? You or your kids? What are the long-term effects of it in Malton? Yeah, I'm still yapping. You're going to be hearing me yapping for the rest of your life. Amy Seukeran, Narcissistic Abuse Recovery Life Coach, Canada. Worldwide, all over YouTube. The whole world can hear me yapping about abusers and being a victim of abuse. So don't worry. Why are you watching them? What do you think the future of Malton's going to be in 5 years? Do you think they're going to open anything different? We're supposed to be getting a giant tiger, right, in the grocery store? So would you apply for a job there? If the giant tiger was hiring, the grocery store was hiring, would you go apply? Would you go drop off a resume now? You think. One of these days you're going to think yourself right into the grave. You think. Well, Monday morning, right? Let's see how quick we can share this around Malton. For the community. The good of the community and its future. Yeah, help me out. Do you know any other buildings that are vacant? That have availability? Don't forget this is a bachelor, right? It doesn't have to be a bachelor. It can be a 1-bedroom. As long as the price is comparable. Well, let's go over grandiosity. What do you think that word means? Grandiosity. Sure, entitlement. Entitled to what? What do you think you're entitled to? That means when you're entitled. That somebody has to give it to you? Like who? Who do you think has to give it to you? Well, if you're entitled to a job, a house, money, who do you think has to give it to you? Okay, so grandiosity. Let's compare that to normal reality. What do you think grandiosity is? If normal reality is getting a job in an office, what do you think grandiosity is? Thinking what? You're going to take over and own it? Like what if it's Amazon? That's grandiosity, not reality. Isn't that nice? There are rules for fireworks now. I guess it's the weekend for fireworks. We're in Mississauga, right? So we went over. Brampton doesn't have it anymore. They banned them there, so they don't have that privilege. They have droids, I guess, androids or whatever. So I keep telling Malton, one of these days you keep abusing privileges, right? You're going to end up like Brampton. They won't have fireworks at all. But you know, they don't hear they're like breaking rules until something happens. It was just reminded me, right? It's the weekend. Fireworks are legal when you can have them, do them. Well, what do you think you're hearing in the background? Welcome to what you didn't know could hurt you, right? And tomorrow's Monday, bright and early Monday. What do you guys have to do tomorrow? New work week, new business week. What are the plans for next week? We're going to look for Halloween costumes. We're going to look for Halloween candy. We're going to shop for Halloween candy for our kids, for strange kids, for the neighborhood. People are going to learn respect. Wow. I won't hold my breath, but hey, go for it. People are going to learn respect. What kind of people? Respect for what? We went over today, right? Live streams I'm going to have on Twitch are half an hour, but they're not recorded, so I can't put them up on YouTube until I find a way to record them with sound. Zoom meetings are half an hour, 30 minutes when I have them. But so far, I can't record them and put them up, right? So when you attend, it's just you have to be there. This one is YouTube. These are an hour, 1 hour, 60 minutes, and they're recorded. So I put them up on YouTube after so everybody can watch them. I'm trying to explain for everybody, all ages. YouTube, I'm sure, hopefully you're all familiar, right? You can get onto that and watch them at Amy's Regal Life. You type that in the search, at Amy's Regal Life, the little A with the little circle. Twitch, Amy's Regal Life, the same thing. If you're older, I don't know if you've ever used Twitch, if you have the app, it's easy. You go to the Google Play Store and you type in the app and you'll find them. Same with Zoom, right? Zoom meetings. People have been using them for a while. Business meetings, Zoom. So you just go get the app, and then when you get the password, usually it's the same, right? Malton for my meetings. Where else? Facebook, Twitter, TikTok, Instagram, Amy Seukeran, at Amy's Regal Life. One or the other. Anyway, I'm going to end the live stream for tonight. Hope you learned something. We'll see you the next time.